Good morning.
Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam
Asmadacharyaparyantam Vande
Guru
Guru
Paramparam
Paramparam.
Om
Om
Sahanavatu
Sahanavatu
Sahanavunaktu
Sahanavatu
Sahaviryam Karvavahai
Karvavahai
Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma
Tejasvinavadhitamastu
Vidvishavahai Om
Om
Shanti
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 Shanti.
Shanti.
Okay, so we are on verse number 13 of chapter 6. So let us chant that. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Tamam Kaya Shirogrivam
Tamam Karya Shirogrivam
Dharayanna Chalam Sthiraha
Dharayan Chalam Sthiraha
Samprekshya Nasikagram Swam
Samprekshya Nasikagram Swam
Dishashanavalokayan
Shashanavalokayan.
Okay. So we continue with the instructions on meditation. And here Shankaracharya begins the bhashyam on this verse by saying that the word asana, it has got two meanings. One is the bahyam asanam, the external asana, which means a seat which you take for meditation, in which you sit for meditation. That is what seat you are taking, where are you sitting? That is what he means. And then he says, second one is Sharira Dharana Masanam. So two words he uses, Bahya Masanam, which is the seat, and Sharira Dharanam Asanam. The Sharira Dharanam is the way in which you place your body. So Sharira Dharanam Asanam is the posture of the body. For example, if you're sitting on a cushion or on a mat, the mat or the cushion is the Bahya Masanam. And if you're sitting in, say, Padmasana, then the Padmasanam is the Sharira Dharana Masanam. Now, the Bahya Masanam, as you know, we have already talked about. Where did we talk about it? The seat on which you sit for meditation. Where did we talk about that?
Verse 11.
Verse 11. Nati Shritam, Nati Nicham, Chailajana Kushvottaram. Okay, so Bahya Masanam, therefore, is not what is being discussed here. Sharira Dharana Masanam is discussed. Okay. Now look at the words. So he says Samam, Kaya, Shiro, Griva. So Kaya is the body, Shira is the head, and Grivam is the neck, or Griva is the neck. And Samam means they must be all in a similar, in a one straight line, perpendicular to the ground. So similar posture, similar setting must be there. And therefore the body, the neck, and the mind must be in one straight line, perpendicular to the ground. And again, when you start the practice, usually we'll find that we slouch. And it's only because you pay attention to the body and you're aware of the way in which the body and the back and the neck is, and again you correct it. Over a period of some time, you will find that the posture becomes natural to you. So whenever you sit down in a cross-legged position, your body will be straight. Right? Remember, it is peculiar to the position. Of course, you can train yourself to have the straight body even when you sit in a chair. But you will find that normally when you sit in a chair, you tend to slouch using the support of the back of the chair. And that is why we say that during meditation, don't use chairs. Of course, this is again be broadly interpreted. If you have problems which don't let you sit on the ground, then of course there is no option but to use the chair. But here basically that when you sit, the body should be absolutely straight. And why is that so? Because only when the body is straight, you can do a straight and smooth and even breathing. So that is the first quarter of the verse. Samam Kaya Shirogrivam. And the second quarter is Dharayan Achalam Sthiraha. Dharayan Achalam Sthiraha. Dharayan means to hold. Achalam. Achalam Sthiraha should be firm and steady. Now, the word Achalam and the word Sthiraha, they both mean the same. Okay. If you look at the dictionary, Achalam means firm and steady, non-moving. Thiram means firm and steady, not moving. And therefore, we as Vedantic students might think that, Krishna is guilty of Punar-Ukti dosha. Krishna is guilty of repetition. So Shankara knows this will happen, and therefore he jumps in here and points out that these words mean two things. So Achalam and Sthiram. So he says that Samam means in one straight line. Achalam means no movement from side to side or front to back. Body straight. It doesn't sway like that, either from side to side or front to back. Shankara says Achalam has to be taken as that, and Samam has to be taken as sitting in with the neck, the head, and the back in one straight line. But he doesn't refer to Sthiram. Shankara doesn't comment upon Sthiram, but subcommentators give a very, very nice explanation. They say that the Achalam, by the use of the word Achalam and Sthiram, Krishna is pointing out that there are two things which move. What are they? In your meditation, two things can move. What are they?
Mind can also.
Right. So he is saying, Krishna is saying that therefore, of course, Shankara doesn't say this, but there are various sub-commentators who say that Achalam means the body does not move at all, and Sthiram means the mind does not move at all. A very, very beautiful interpretation. And therefore, there is no Punar-Ukti doshaha, there is no defect of repetition. Because Achalam and Sthiram are referring to two different things. One is the movement of the body, and one is the movement of the mind. Then the third quarter we take Samprekshya Nasikagram Swam. So Prekshanam. Prekshanam is seeing. So Prekshya means to see, and the prefix sam in front is taken as samyak, fully, completely, exhaustively. So Samprekshya means completely seeing, clearly seeing, and Nasika Agram. So Nasika Agram has to be broken as Nasika Agram. Agram means the front or the tip. And therefore he's saying clearly seeing Nasika Agram, the tip of the nose. And the word Swam is to say that, is to make it clear that he is talking about your own nose, not at anybody else's nose. So looking at your own nose, and that might give you a doubt, because when you look at your own nose for more than a few seconds, your eyes are straining, and therefore it gives you a headache. And so Shankara sees that, and Shankara adds here, iti eva. So your eyes should be not necessarily looking at the nose, but in the direction of the eye should be such, as if you are looking at the nose. Okay. Now, if you are a person who wants to poke holes in this argument, you can say that why should Shankara add this iti eva, as if looking? Because if Krishna intended that you should be as if looking, Krishna also knew Sanskrit. He would have said iti eva. He didn't say that. He said you should look at the nose. And therefore that is what he meant. And Shankara says no, that samyak prekshanam, samprekshya, it indicates two things. It indicates number one, indriya sthapanam, the direction of the indriya. Which is the indriya that we're talking about? The eyes. So samyak prekshanam indicates the direction of the eyes, the physical organs. Also, it indicates manovritti sthapanam, the direction of thought, the direction of the mind it indicates. And if Krishna indicates manovritti sthapanam also, then what is he trying to, what are you going to interpret? You're going to say that the thought should be about the nose, right? There are two things. One is the direction of the eyes and one is the direction of the mind. And if you are going to say that when Krishna said, nasikagram swam, sampreksham, if you're going to say that it means looking at your nose, then it also means that Krishna is saying, think of your nose. And then if you think of your nose, it is no longer meditation on the Lord, it is meditation on the nose. And therefore only Shankara says, iti eva, means the direction of the eyes only should be taken as the meaning, not actually looking. Okay, then there's another question. What is the purpose of turning the eyes towards the nose? What could be the purpose of looking? Generally, your eyes are in a half closed position and you're looking in the direction of the nose. When you're doing meditation, what is the reason for that?
Concentration.
Concentration. Anybody else?
You are looking inwards towards.
It helps you to look inwards.
So when you're looking at your eyes, in the direction of your eyes, your focus is this way. And what happens is that there are no other objects in the range of your eyes. So that sampreksham nasikagram swam is to indicate that the eyes should be not focused on any external object. So essentially it means pratyahara of the eyes from any external object. Withdrawal of the eyes from any external object. If that is the question, if that is the meaning, then why did Krishna not say close the eyes? Why did he say, look as if looking towards the nose? He has not said close the eyes, but remember that we all close the eyes during meditation, but Krishna doesn't say that. It seems to be indicating that you should be looking towards the eyes, in the direction of the eyes. So why did Krishna not say just simply close your eyes and that's it? So Shankara says that is because the closed eyes, there is a possibility of falling asleep. And therefore this iti eva, as if looking at the nose, does not rule out the closed eyes. Of course, it doesn't rule that eyes are closed, but it indicates that the mind is very active. So antakarana samadhanam, it indicates complete focus of the mind on the object of the meditation. Okay, so these are few things which you have to remember when you see these descriptions. It is easy to misunderstand. And so this samprekshya nasikagram swam has to be taken as eyes are relaxed, they may even be closed, but the mind is not relaxed. The mind is focused on the object of the meditation. Okay. Now, Krishna has also said bhror madhye, focus on the space between the eyebrows. Where does he say that? Anybody? Do you remember? Krishna has also mentioned earlier.
Fourth chapter?
No guessing. Give me the chapter number and your verse number. No. Okay. It's verse number 27 of the last chapter. Sparshan kritva bahir bayan chakshush chaivantare broho. In between the eyes, you should focus. Right? So, if you take that, you can have another question. Like that Krishna says focus in between the eyebrows. And what is in between the eyebrows? You can take it as the nose itself, right? And therefore, is it not correct to understand that Krishna is focusing on the nose? So remember, all these doubts are being expressed in the Bhashyam. It's not there anywhere else. Shankaracharya is expressing these doubts so that we can understand. And he himself clears his doubt by saying that later on, Krishna says, Atma samstham manakritva. Because in a later chapter, Krishna says, Atma samstham manakritva, by focusing the mind on the Atma itself. Okay, so all this discussion is on what? On the tip of the nose. So Shankaracharya is capable of making all the discussion happen on one, which you would not think about. Okay, so the discussion on the tip of the nose is over. And then the last word, Dishaschana Valokayan. So Dishaha cha Anavalokayan. So Dishaha means directions. Avalokanam, Avalokayanam is to look. Anavalokayan is not to look. So Dishas mean various directions. Therefore, Dishaschana Valokayan means do not look here and there. Why does he say this? Because even if your head is still and your body is still and your neck is in one direction, head, neck and body are in one direction, if your mind is restless, you will find that your eyes will be darting in all directions. And therefore, he says, don't attempt to look here and there. Keep looking in the direction of the tip of your nose so that your eyes don't wander. And once you have reached this posture, may you start your meditation. A very exhaustive description on how you should sit. And when sitting for meditation, you should also always look at these 11, 12, 13, 14 verses with this understanding. Okay, now we look at the 14th verse. We'll chant. Prashantatma vigatabihi
Prashantatma vigatihi
brahmachari vrate sthitaha
brahmacari vrate
manasanyamyamachittaha
manasanyamyamatah
yukta asita mattaraha.
yukta asita mattah.
So he's continuing with these instructions, and therefore Prashant Atma and Vigata Bhihi. He is referring to the conditions of the mind, and there are two words, so there are two conditions of the mind, and the condition of the mind is influenced by what? By thoughts, and thoughts are disturbances. And therefore, he's saying that there are two conditions of the mind which usually happen when you sit to meditate, or for that matter, at any point of time. And these two conditions are disturbances because of thoughts arriving from two directions. So there are thoughts coming from your experience of the past. So there are past thoughts from experiences which you've had in the past. They arrive and disturb your mind. And there are expectations of the future, worries and apprehensions about the future. So those kind of thoughts arrive from the future and disturb your mind. And why is it a problem? Because if you are sitting in meditation, you cannot meditate either in the past or in the future. Only the present is available to you for meditation. And if you are in the past, the present is not available to you. If your mind is in the future, the present is not available to you. And therefore, these disturbances from the past and the future, they have to be handled appropriately before your mind is available to you in the present. So, what are the disturbances which can arise from the past? So you can have regrets about things which you did not do, which you should have done, or things which you did do and which you should not have done. There is bitterness from interactions in the past. There is anger from interactions in the past. There is irritation from interactions in the past. And during meditation, because the mind is relatively quiet, all these subconscious thoughts can surface during meditation. And when the mind is full of these experiences, how can you have the present available to you? So the thing with meditation is, because your mind is not externally engaged with any object, and the mind always wants to engage with objects. Therefore, if external objects are not available to you for engagement, because that is what you do when you sit in meditation, you are withdrawn. Pratyahara you have done. So at that point of time, the mind looks inside for objects to engage with, and it finds all these objects: regrets, bitterness, anger, irritation, etc. All these problems can surface during meditation. And how do I know? Because during my my work, during my day-to-day transactions, when my mind is fully occupied with external events, it is not available to probe into the past, and therefore mind is preoccupied, and therefore these past disturbances do not surface. But the moment you sit in meditation, they will. And how to allow that? You have to understand that there are two ways of handling my past. I can learn from the past, or I can, regret the past. So, from all the past experiences, if I have learnt, then I am mature. When I realize that every experience in the past is meant for me to have a learning experience, and therefore I learn from all my experiences, no matter how bitter they are, how unpleasant they are. And then I get maturity from these experiences, and therefore I don't allow those past thoughts to disturb me. But if I have not learned to handle my past, every single thought, every experience of the past can create disturbance. And therefore, what I should do is, having learned my experiences from my lessons from past experiences, what I should do is, I should simply offer them to the Lord as Easwara Arpanam. So the prayer will be, "Oh Lord, you have given me all these unpleasant or pleasant experiences for my inner growth only. And like the sugarcane piece, I have extracted what is to be learned from those experiences, and I need to throw away the rest. So I'm offering them to you. Please take them as Ishvara Arpanam, leaving me with the knowledge, with the lessons from the experiences." So learning from the past experiences is a great practice. It is very useful. It is a boon. Because the past can be a very great burden on you if these experiences keep popping up in my mind all the time. They can trigger a lot of negative emotions, and such a person is constantly suffering because he hates everybody in the past. He's wondering why my life is like this. And that is why we say that once the experience is over, even if somebody has hurt you very badly, once you have learned from that experience of getting hurt, the best thing to do is forgive the others. Forgive the person who has hurt you. Because forgiving others, the greatest benefit is not for the others, it is for yourself. Because when you hate somebody else, the actual sufferer is nobody else but the person who hates. Okay? And therefore you should always, whenever possible, consciously relive your past experiences where people have hurt you, where you have been upset, and then consciously you should forgive them and saying it's fine. In fact, I read somewhere about, like we have all these days, right? We have a good day for such things. We have a day when you celebrate Diwali. So you can have a forgive others day, one special day of every month. So one special day every month. On that 1 month, on one day, you recall all the monthly experiences and en masse you forgive them. Then they will no longer bother you. So that's very important for you to do that. And that is what he means by Prashant Atma. A person who has forgiven everybody else, he has learned from his experiences, but he is not bitter anymore. So Prashant Atma literally is Prakarshena Shantaha Atma. In Shantaha is calm, Atma is mind. So Shanta Atma is calm mind, and Pra indicates Prakarshena. It's a prefix indicating intensity. So intensely calm mind, very, very calm mind. So Prashant Atma is a person who has extremely calm mind, not disturbed by any thoughts from the past. So that with handling that, your mind would have learned to be mature and not get disturbed by thoughts of the past. What about the future? What kind of worries do we have about the future? All sort of worries. Insecurity, the body is growing old, whether you will have a job, whether you will be lonely. There are so many worries which you can have, right? What is the solution? You have to assimilate the law of karma fully. And what does the law of karma say?
Karma. Arpan.
I will just what do you call mute y'all. Okay. What does the law of karma say? Whatever is going to be what I have to face in the future is the result of my own karma, right? That's what the law of karma says. That karma phalam is the result of your own karma, not of anybody else's. And therefore, I cannot blame anybody else for whatever events I face in my future, whether it is good events, bad events, painful events. I cannot blame anybody else. I alone am responsible for my future and because of my past karma. And therefore, I can never escape my future. However unpleasant it is, however unwelcome it is, because it is your own karma, you can never escape. And what should you do when there is something which you cannot escape from? Agate swagatam. Whatever is going to come, you do not resist. Swagatam. You say, welcome to my future, whether it is pleasurable or painful, positive or negative, you have to welcome you. You have no choice. So anyway, it is going to arrive, you might as well welcome. Right? It's like a guest. Unwelcome guests also, when they come, what do we do? What do we do? We don't say get out, right? We welcome. With a smile, we welcome them, even though we had other things to do at that point of time and that guest arrived without notice. But we welcome them. We offer them tea, whatnot, right? So you welcome your future, whether it is positive or negative. And when I say future, I include the future of people close to you whose future might also have some effect on us. So, for example, a wife's future, your husband's future, your children's future. And remember that we can never determine the future of these people, wife and children and parents. We can contribute to their future, but whatever happens to them, whatever happens to your children, though you have some contribution to make, we should always remember that there is never total control. Their future is not in your mind and in your hand, because ultimately their future is their prarabdha only. So what you can only pray for is, give me strength to face that future. And of course, not just the strength to face the future, but also to learn from those experiences and forgive all those people who have caused me, who will cause me any pain in the future. Samundaka Upanishad says, Pariksha lokan karma chitan. Let me examine all my experiences and let me learn from them and let me forgive the others. Let me throw away what is useless. Let me not have any regret. Let me not have any pain. I just use future for past for learning only. And therefore, give me a sattvic mind which will extract the teaching and forget the experience. Right? And like a very unsattvic example is the pan, the betel leaf, which you find many people eating in India. You extract the essence and spit out the rest. So every experience you should take, pull out the essence, understand the essence, and then forget the experience. And therefore we say, Agate swagatam kuryat, welcome whatever comes, whether it be pleasant or unpleasant. And if you can train your mind to have this kind of attitude, then the mind will not have a concern about the future. It is a relaxed, and therefore Krishna says Vigata Bhihi, free of Bhihi. Vigata means free, Bhihi means anxieties, worries, and therefore in a mind which has no worries. So Krishna says in meditation when you sit, be Vigata Bhihi. Do not bring your future to the mind. Do not bring your past to the mind. So Prashant Atma and Vigata Bhihi. Do not bring the past. Do not bring the future to the meditation seat. The past should not disturb you. The future should not disturb you. Then what will happen is the present is fully available to utilize for my meditation. And so he says, Brahmachari vrate sthitaha. The Brahmachari is here a student of Shastram. And among many disciplines, one discipline that you have followed is this. In Brahmacharya Ashrama, remember, when you are a student, when you are a Gurukula Vasi, there are only three relationships: Guru, Shastram, and Ishvara. And therefore, may you continue your duties as a Vedantic student. During your meditation class also, during meditation session also, whether it be 15 minutes or 20 minutes or half an hour or 1 hour or 2 hours, Krishna is saying at the time of the meditation, for the duration of your meditation session, you should have only these three relationships: Guru, Shastra, Ishvara. You are not a father, you are not a mother, you are not a husband, you are not a son, you are not a daughter. You are just the Shishya, the Vedantic student. You can have only three relationships. So mentally become a sannyasi. So you will find this in one Upanishad also. Atyashamastaha Safalendriyani Nirudhya Bhaktya Swagarum Pranamya. Atyashamastaha. Be a sannyasi during your meditation. What should you do? You should have bhakti and Swagarum Pranamya. You should pay obeisances to your Guru. There are only three relationships: Ishvara, Shastram, Guru. Why do we say only these three relationships? Because these three relationships, they don't have the potential to disturb your mind. Because the basic idea here is that your mind should not be disturbed during meditation. And there are only three relationships which you can have which won't disturb your mind: the relationship with Ishvara, the relationship with Shastram, and the relationship with your teacher. Only these three relationships are free of disturbances. And therefore, have only them as your relationships during your meditation session. When you leave the chappals outside the meditation room, you should leave all your other relationships outside also. So, sparshan kritva bahir bhayyan. Send them all out of the room. Okay. Remember, this is when you say get out, it's a mental thing, right? You don't stand up and tell your wife or husband, get out of the room. You just mentally, you have thrown them out of your room, out of your life for that period of meditation. Right? So it's a temporary getting out. And this he calls Brahmacharya Vratam. The vow which is taken by a Brahmachari to have only these three relationships. What is the problem with having relationships? Because the mind operates in different segments. Each part of your mind is stuck in one segment. So one segment thinks about the daughter, one segment thinks about the son, one segment thinks about the wife, one about the husband. And all the segments will create interruptions in your mind. So Krishna says, all these segments you leave out of the meditation room, and therefore manaha sanyamya. Manaha sanyamya means having restrained all the thoughts in the mind. Manasa vrittihi upasamhritya. Restrain all the thoughts in the mind. That is the meaning of samyama here. Okay, for those of you who are familiar with Yoga Shastram, there's a different meaning for samyama over there. What does it mean? Sanyam here mean, or samyam here means simply restraining all thoughts in the mind. What is Yoga Shastra samyama?
Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi put together.
So Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi put together is Yoga Shastra Samyama. So you should not confuse this. They are two different texts. The meanings are contextual. So that Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, Samyama, you forget over here. Here it is Manaha Vritti Upasamhratya is Samyamya, which is restraining all the thoughts in your mind. After having restrained all the thoughts in the mind, what should I do? Machittaha. Invoke your relationship with me, Ishvara. Fixing the mind upon me, upon Ishvara, is the basic fundamental relationship in your life. You should be very clear about that. Because all other relationships are body to body. They end life to life. But your relationship, and your here doesn't mean the body. It means you, the jiva, which means what? Sukshma shariram plus karana shariram is the jiva. And you are constant in various births, in various lives, right? And therefore, any physical relationship which you have is related to your physical body. It will end with every life. Your relationships in every life are different. The same relationship may or may not come. Usually they are different. The only one which is constant in your life is with Ishvara, because the jiva has a permanent relationship with Ishvara, and therefore machittaha. Invoke that relationship with me as your one fundamental relationships. Fix the mind upon Ishvara. What does fixing the mind mean? It means entertain. That's a very important sentence, because most people say fix the mind, but they don't know what it means. What is fixing the mind?
Of me.
Beg your pardon?
Only thinking of me, only focusing on me.
Yeah. So fixing the mind on pizza means what? Thinking of
Only,
the pizza.
only.
And therefore, fixing the mind on Atma only means that your thoughts should be about Atma only. And therefore, this Atma thought, this Ishvara thought alone continues Janma after Janma. All other relationships are temporary. And in any preoccupation with your temporary relationship, the problem is that you are losing sight of the permanent relationship. So, this is an important point. Your thought is present. Okay, Vedantic meditation does not mean stoppage of thoughts. A very important differentiation from Yoga Shastra, where it says Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, arresting the thoughts. But Vedanta doesn't say that. In Vedantic meditation means directing the thoughts towards the Atma, which means entertaining only thoughts about Atma, not about Anatma. And if you have to have thoughts about the Atma, what is the prerequisite?
Chitta Shuddhi.
You have to know the Atma.
More or less, but can you reword that?
Shravanam.
No, it means you have to have some knowledge about what Atma is. You cannot think about something about which you don't know. Right? Supposing I said, think about blah, blah, blah. What does that mean? Will you be able to think about it? Because you don't know what it means. And therefore, when you think or when you want to meditate upon something, you must know about that something. If you want to direct thoughts towards the Atma, if you want to meditate on the Atma, you must have a clear knowledge of what is the Atma. How will you have clear knowledge of what is the Atma? You must have studied the Shastra. Very clearly saying. So here, we are saying that our meditation is post-Shastram meditation. You have studied the Shastram, you know what is the Atma, and therefore you are absorbed in the thoughts on the Atma. So he says, Asita, may you take a seat in meditation, may you sit in meditation, and Yuktaha, with a concentrated mind, absorbed in the knowledge of the Atma, absorbed in Vedantic thought. And what kind of thought? Mat paraha. Keep me not only as an object of your meditation, but keep me also as the final destination of your life. So why does Krishna use mat chitta and mat paraha? So if Ishvara is chosen as the ultimate destination of my life, it is mat paraha. But it does not mean that he will be occupying our thoughts all the time, right? So if I am traveling from Trivandrum to Delhi, then paraha, I am Delhi paraha. Delhi is my ultimate destination, but it does not mean I am Delhi chitaha. Does not mean that Delhi is occupying my thoughts all the time, right? And therefore we are saying that you have to choose the correct goal. Correct goal is mat paraha. You should be having the destination of Ishvara as your primary destination in life. You have a very clear understanding that moksha is what is my final destination, right? And remember that even having understood that moksha is the final destination, I may have strong attachments to family, to worldly affairs, and therefore I may not be mat chittaha. Ishvara thought may not occupy my mind all the time. And if that is so, then it's a problem. So there is a Sanskrit saying, yatra yatra kamaha, tatra tatra naramaha. What does it mean?
When I need something, I think of the Lord.
Nope. Yatra yatra kamaha, tatra naramaha.
Wherever there are desires,
Desire.
Whenever there are
no Rama.
wherever there are desires, there is pain.
There is no thought of the Lord.
Yes. Wherever there is kamaha, there is no entry for ramaha. Rama is the Lord. So, wherever there is kamaha, yatra yatra kamaha, wherever there is kamaha, tatra naramaha, there is no entry for the Lord. So wherever there is vairagyam, there is no entry for Ishvara. And therefore you have to develop vairagyam before Ishvara can enter your life. And therefore matchittaha indicates vairagyam, mat paraha indicates viveka. Both are very essential before you can sit down for meditation in Nididhyasanam special. Okay, I'll take a small break here in case there are any questions. All very, very potent verses, worthy of...
The word yukta means what is
committed to.
Okay, yukta means committed to, full of.
So, Acharya, so is it in dual state, right? Still, or
sorry, come again, Mohan?
am I? Yeah, so it's still in the dual state. Ishvara is something else and I am something else when we are meditating, or I am saying I am Atma.
Because now you are in Nididhyasanam. Nididhyasanam means that you understood that you are Atma. I mean, you have done Shravanam and you have done Mananam. So you understood your Atma, and therefore what? Therefore, it is no longer should not be a dualistic thought. Your meditation should be, I am the Atma.
Okay, thank you.
Om Acharya, so given an example of the beetle leaf, and you said that it is a perfect example of how you take the essence and then you forget you forget the past.
Yeah.
So when we speak about taking the essence, do we also consider the learnings out of it, or just the experience of good or bad, and then discard the rest and move forward?
No. The learning is most important, because remember one thing, that in general, the main objective of any experience there are two basic reasons why you have any experience, pleasant or unpleasant. One, the major one, of course, is to experience your prarabdha. So if your prarabdha karma requires you to go through pain, that is one. But remember that the Lord also, when He gives you that particular painful experience, He has another intention in mind, that you shall learn from that experience. And many of you would have noticed in your lives that if your mind is not, open when you get the pain, when the painful experience comes and your mind is closed for whatever reasons, and therefore what happens is that the pain is there, so the prarabdha part has been taken care of, but the experience part has not been taken care of, the learning part has not been taken care of, and therefore you will find that a similar experience will repeat. And it will keep on repeating until you learn. And therefore you have to, the pain part is not in your hands. It is prarabdha karma, you're undergoing the pain, but the experience part is in your hands. So look for the whatever is my learning from that. Is there something which I am doing which I need to change? And if you have learned, then the past should be forgotten. And unless you have learned, actually the past cannot be forgotten. It will keep on sticking in your mind with the question of why. When you have understood why that pain is there, why it came, then you have made your learning. And therefore that particular experience will not repeat. I'm not saying more pain will not be there, okay? Prarabdha. But that particular learning need not be given again.
Om Acharya ji.
Yes, Ashmaji.
So the pain, it's remained for some days. I mean, whatever wrong has happened or somebody has left enough from our life. So that pain is there for a few days. So that is okay.
Yeah.
Or we have to come out of the pain.
No. See, the mind will have the pain, okay? But, and as long as you don't accept fully, like as you said, somebody has gone out of your lives. Okay. So there is pain. Nobody can stop that. You have a mind. The mind is got emotions. You had a bond with that person. That person is gone, and that pain will be there. But the learning experience is what? One of the learning experiences is that everybody's life is governed by prarabdha. So in the case of that person, his prarabdha required that his life, that he go away from your life. Your prarabdha required that the pain of going away should be endured. Unless you accept that this is prarabdha's doing, you are going to be resentful about the fact that he has gone away from your life, and therefore the pain will constantly remain. For that pain to go, that acceptance is necessary. That takes time, because in the initial flow of emotion, it will not be possible to intellectually dissect that incident and then say this is this and this is that and this is prarabdha and this is my pain and this is his prarabdha. All that comes when the pain is slightly subsided. And time is a great healer. Time subsides the pain. Once the little pain is subsided and you're able to come to terms with what has happened, then the pain goes. I'm not saying you will not miss that person. You will miss the person. But you can remember the good parts and not the bad parts.
Yeah. So like it is to be connected, not attached, right?
It is to be understood properly and not attached as such. You have to understand properly that people come into your life for a reason. I said every jiva is the relationship with you. Every person who has a relationship with you is there for a particular reason. For him as well as for you, there are learning points. And if a person's learning from me is over, then that person will go away.
So same as if when you fall ill or something happens to your body, then you have to accept that it was your prarabdha.
You have to accept that it's prarabdha. You don't blame others, but you ensure that you take whatever steps are necessary to, address the situation. You go to a doctor, you take medicines, all those things. You don't stop by saying it's my prarabdha.
No. So you
remember, current action is very much part of handling prarabdha. Your intellect, your free will comes into play when you handle prarabdha.
Okay,
No, I
thank
meant
you,
only
Acharya.
be resentful.
Om Acharya.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask, suppose a person is giving you pain, you are forgiving, you are doing your duties still, but that it is reoccurring. So forgiving is one thing, but should we expose ourselves to the other person, or are we bound to if we are in a situation? Um, so how do we handle that?
Okay, so that's a very good question. If somebody is in my life and he is giving me pain, okay, so what is the learning from Vedanta, that it is because of my prarabdha that that person is there in my life and is giving me pain, and therefore I must put up with that pain, right?
Right.
Okay. It's not a very simple question to answer, but if one good way, if it is recurringly it is coming, then part of the reason you are getting the pain is also your current action, because your lack of current action is also causing that same, the learning has not occurred. If somebody is giving you pain all the time, the pain is the prarabdha part. It is a learning also. And that learning should be that if this person is toxic to me, maybe I should not be around with that person. I'm not saying at the first, incident in your life with your partner or whoever it is, you just walk out. You give it some time, you give it your best shot, you talk to that person, you talk to relatives, everything possible you try to do. And if still that person doesn't change, I think at least that's a very fair thing to say that if I still don't act, then the continuing pain is because of the prarabdha arising from the fact that I'm not acting.
Okay. So it's not my partner, or it's not about the partner, but
Anybody,
there is a
anybody in
relative.
your life.
Yeah.
Anybody
So
in your life. So you can very safely cut them out.
right.
You don't
So
need to
it
do it
could also
rudely.
mean mentally cut off. Stop bothering.
See, if you have perfect
Mentally,
if you have perfect shama, then you don't need dhamma. Okay. Dhamma is always an introductory step. But perfect shama is there for very few people. There is no such thing as a perfect mind. So however good your mind is, irritation will occur. The more your spiritual progress is, the faster you can recognize the irritation and recover from that. That is true. But the irritation will still occur. And if somebody is there close to you doing it all the time, then as a spiritual seeker, it's an obstacle. So you should seriously examine.
right.
Acharya, continuation with that same thing. Suppose that's happening because we feel that something we have done in the past to them, and that whatever they're giving the pain is outcome of what the pain we caused, ignoring their everything. So what we think that it's like we deserve that because we caused them pain and it's coming back.
So there's a Hindi saying, "Aa bail mujhe maar." I think, if you think that you have hurt somebody, the best way is to apologize. And try to, like, you can hurt somebody in many ways, right? You hurt somebody emotionally, all you can do is to apologize and be better and try to take care of the person. If you hurt somebody financially, then you should do some recompense. So whatever you can do, you should do. But to keep on getting beaten in the mistaken thought that I deserve that beating, it shows a very low self-image. For a spiritual seeker, remember, you are claiming I am Brahman. And if you are going to say that I deserve this, there is a problem there. So your self-image improvement is part of the first foundational steps on the spiritual path. You have to do everything that is necessary to build a self-image. Once your self-image is strong, then only can you say that, okay, I am Brahman. Until then, they're only words. They won't carry any conviction at all.
Om Acharya ji.
Yes, Amitji.
Thank you, Acharya.
Acharya ji, I just wanted to ask one thing. Like we were talking that we should concentrate on our nose, so and eyes should be open. But when I try this, immediately after 10-15 minutes, my eyes, I'm not able to open
Yeah.
my eyes.
Exactly. So what you should do is you close your eyes, and if you close your eyes, then the idea is that no other object is visible to you. That exactly is what Krishna is saying. Our eyes should not be perceiving other objects. And so he adds, but the other part added is to ensure that you are not sleeping. The mind is active. That's what I explained. Shankara says the idea of saying that look towards your nose is that it is as if your eyes are open so that mind is active. But really speaking, you can close your eyes, ensure that your mind is functional and meditating on the particular object of meditation, not going to sleep.
Okay.
So
And
you don't have to do
another,
that physical thing of looking at the nose. It's very tiring. It can cause you headache
correct.
and eye strain also. That's not what is intended.
And Acharya ji, second question related to this, like you very rightly said in Vedantic, we don't want to be thoughtless. We want our direct thoughts to Ishvara, Shastra, and Guru.
Yeah.
So as a beginner in Vedantic, what form of Ishvara we should focus? Should we focus on, let's say Narayan? So should we focus on Narayan visions? Should we focus on his clothes, his armors? What should we exactly focus, or should we focus on light? So I'm not sure. Like you said, we should know what Ishvara is first.
Yeah. So for a beginner who is on the spiritual path, we say you focus on Ekarupa Ishvara, right? So for example, you are focusing on say Vishnu, Narayan. And if you read the Vishnu Sahasranamam, there is a whole Dhyana sloka. Okay, that Dhyana sloka actually describes Vishnu, what all he's holding in his hand and stuff like that. So when you're doing that, focusing on individual Ekarupa Ishvara, that time what you should do is you should have this Dhyana sloka clear in your mind, and that is the focusing. It will give you the entire description. And when you're looking at that description in your mind, you should visualize that he is standing in front of me, he's holding this, he's holding that. That is the Ekarupa Ishvara Darshana. That is the
Okay.
meditation. Yeah.
Or sometimes we focus on light, or
No,
sometimes we try to hear.
don't focus on lights and all. There's no spiritual value at all. Meditation is defined as your what do you call a flow of thoughts on the subject of the Lord. Saguna
And,
Ishvara Vishaya. It is no other thing. No lights, no flowers, no chakras.
Mhm. And sometimes we try to listen Om. So is that okay?
So that's two different types of meditation. One is on Vishaya meditation, one is on the sound meditation. Om is basically Nirguna. And so unless if you are talking about Om, then you shouldn't be, it is basically you are doing a japa. But for a beginner, the Om japa has no meaning because you don't know what Om is. So you add say Om Namah Shivaya or Om Namah Narayana and then meditate. And when you think of Narayana, then you recall all those Dhyana sloka from Vishnu Sahasranama, recall all the qualities. Then only it has any meaning.
Okay. Got it. Acharya ji, just a request. Sometimes when time permits, please walk us through Vishnu Sahasranam, Dhyan shlokas, if possible sometimes.
We have, I will ask Tanmay if she can do it, for example.
Sure, that will be great.
On the chanting class, maybe she can do it.
Thank you so much, Acharya ji.
Yeah. Okay. But it will be, see, the point is that to do that, she needs to really work. And then when class is to be set up and it's a long class. So I'll ask her, but you have to ensure that sufficient number of people are there in the class. I don't think she will do it for 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
Om, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
If you recall, sir, we used to conduct this Vishnu Sahasranama class. It went
Exactly.
on for a year or so.
Exactly.
But hardly four or five people used to attend. Then we had to discontinue.
That is why we discontinued. So
Yes.
I mean, it's good that people want to, but you know the effort at putting in a class means the other person has to take away time from his other duties and put in a class for you all. And then If that is not respected by adequate number of people, then there is no motivation to continue.
If we have some earlier recordings, that will be great.
I don't know. Sundar, do we have recordings?
It must be available on Facebook. I'll find out and post it in the group, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, it is better that, like, it's very specific question, Sundar. You will just talk with Tanmay and see that she does only the Dhyana sloka. That won't take too long. Maybe 2 classes.
Yeah, Dhyana sloka can be done.
Only Dhyan shloka for the meditation perspective.
Yeah, that can be done.
So that you
But
can just tell her.
explaining the meaning of entire Sahasranama 1000 names, it will take years.
It'll take years.
Not required. I think the only Dhyan shloka.
Yeah, that can be done. We will organize that.
All right. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so with this we'll stop for today. Thank you for your patience. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Acharya ji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Acharya.